Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and I'm going to get right to it. Today, I'm going to get more into the political sector. I'm going to talk about Gavin Newsome. I'm going to talk about the Democrats and social issues and some news topics. But you need to hear me and you need to hear me closely in this video. Again, you need to hear me closely while I do this video, especially for you men out here. Now, I've been watching Gavin Newsome. Gavin Newsome is a punk. This guy is trying to go out and imitate Donald Trump. First of all, he went out there and put on a hat. Gavin Newsom is always right, trying to moniker Trump. Well, this clown thinks he is going to be the president of the United States. Now, I looked at some of the comments on the Yahoo comment section. Yahoo is another left-wing site. And there were a number of ignorant individuals saying, that's the way, Gavin, go ahead and stand up to Trump. Well, these individuals are stupid, particularly if you live in California, because Gavin Newsom, he's ruined your state. You had fires. Couldn't release water from the reservoirs to help put out the fires. Karen Bass. You can't stop the ignorance and the nonsense and the homelessness going on in Los Angeles. You see, with the Democrats out here, and with Gavin Newsom, he thinks he can go and actually imitate Trump's style. There's only one Donald Trump. And everybody knows that Gavin Newsom, if you're a Californian, and I'm not a Californian, but Gavin Newsom came close to being recalled as a governor. I believe it was Governor Gray Davis. He was recalled as a governor in California and replaced by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, if you look at the Democratic Party, there's really no leadership. Now, they might be talking about Brashear from Kentucky, but he's a conservative Democrat, just like Harold Ford Jr. He's a conservative Democrat. In other words, he's a blue dog Democrat. In fact, those Democrats would not even survive in today's Democratic Party. And all you hear from the Democrats is hate Trump, hate Trump, hate Trump. Gavin, I got news for you. Donald Trump is not running in 2028. And before you even talk about 2028, you better hope your party picks up some seats. Because right now, you've already gerrymandered your districts, and now you want to put that ballot initiative on a ballot this year so you can keep Democrats in power in California. That's why your state is screwed up now. The Democrats continue to be delusional. And it is funny because I see a lot of the stupid Democrats, they're liberal white women and beta white men. They're the ones out there protesting. And they don't even know what they're protesting for. Now, I will say this, they're getting paid by the Democratic National Convention, or somebody from the Democratic Party is paying these clowns to go out there and protest. I was looking at a clip, and it had this professor on. And she didn't even know why she was out there protesting. So you're an academic, you're teaching students or you're indoctrinating students, but you're going out in the streets protesting. You're in Washington, D.C. A lot of you white liberals. I hope one of you gets jacked out there, because then you'll realize how unsafe Washington, D.C. is. And what you Democrats keep doing, Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, all you knuckleheads out there in California, and some in Washington, D.C., everything that you are doing, you keep referring it to race. You're trying to shut the argument down. Everything is not a racial issue. The bottom line is you Democrats don't have a leg to stand on. You keep talking about Trump this, Trump that. Trump is running circles around you all. Trump has got the House, he's got the Senate, and he's even got the Supreme Court on his side. And you even had Neil Gorsuch and Kavanaugh. He's given a warning to these activist judges out there. The Supreme Court is not on your side, Democrats. You might have one person on your side, and that's that Ketanji Jackson, a DEI hire, who doesn't know what the hell she's doing. But that's Joe Biden. He put her on a Supreme Court. You had this Lisa chick, call her another Keisha, got fired from the Federal Reserve. It will be time to when she comes out and starts spitting out racism. But she was one of Joe Biden's hires. People don't know that. You see, the Democrats have basically used up all their gerrymandering. I'm from the state of Maryland. And if you looked at that map in the state of Maryland, it's basically no Republican representation in the state of Maryland. Now, I did a video on gerrymandering a couple of weeks ago. Gerrymandering started from a former governor named Jerry from Massachusetts. And if you looked at that map, it looked like it was in the shape of a salamander. That's where they get the name gerrymandering from. I think his name was Jerry. I know it was I know it was not the Jerry. It was the Gerry. You check that video out that I did before. But basically, Democrats, you are trying to continue to invoke wokeness and everything. Now, I know there are people complaining about Cracker Barrel. You know what? I've eaten at Cracker Barrel. The problem with Cracker Barrel is the food isn't as good as it used to be. After COVID, the food went down. Now, the logo. They took the old man in a barrel off the logo. They're trying to modernize it. Well, how many people are really stopping at Cracker Barrel? You might see it on weekends, but it's marketing. So I don't have any dog in that fight, but I will tell you this. When it comes to a lot of these women running everything, I don't care if they're black women, white women, we cannot put these women in power. Women are destroying everything, and we know it. This is a man's world, and men, you need to start acting like men. Too many women are very liberal, and a lot of you liberal white women, you are doing the most complaining, but you got the most benefits from DEI, and you are still getting the most benefits from DEI. I mean, a lot of you, like Elizabeth Warren, you got AOC, you're in Congress, but most of you women in the first place, you are, and I'm just going to say this, a lot of the Democratic women, the only thing that they got going for them is they are in power. They're unattractive women. They're unattractive women. Let's just be honest. Attractive women don't have to say anything. But you remember something, ladies. You're only given power because men give you power. And you are used as a buffer between the working class and elite class men. That's all. You're used to just stifle time from the men at the bottom who outnumber the men at the top. That's all you're doing. That's why the laws are there to actually not protect you, but protect them. You see, a lot of your elitists, they want to tell us what to do. Your Bill Gates, your Jeff Bezos, your Dr. Fauci's, your Amanda Seals. And how, listen, guys, why are you getting up on the stage to debate this broad Amanda Seals? She knows nothing about politics. Whenever you put out facts, and shout out to ABL, he got up there, he put facts out. She was trying to shut him down because he brought facts. Listen, the last thing you want to do is debate a number of women. They don't have any talking points. They women these days act like they can beat men. And see, that's because men have lost their place, especially black men. And black men are going to continue to lose their place. They keep falling behind women, they will never make it. And a number of black men, I'm just going to say this, I said a number of black men. Now, the black men in this space, people like Machismo TV, Salty Balls, Contractor, Mr. O, Obsidian is back up there. Those Theo Waff. In fact, I actually went to the first Manosphere meeting with Theo Waff back in 2021 down in Atlanta. That's when I met Bernard Riley, Little Big Nate, Minister Jap. And the funny thing about that Manosphere meetup was you had a number of people who were on the side, and shout out to you, Brother Reg. I know you wanted to set up a Manosphere meeting of your own in California, but you had a number of guys talking about what we did. But what we did was actually real. In fact, we didn't even talk about women. And I know Obsidian is continuing his conclaves. And Theo, he was talking about IT then. Brothers were taking the test then, making money then. Theo, you're doing a good job. I remember Theo when he was on the panel with Little Big Nate. And shout out to you, Little Big Nate. I'm looking for you to come back so you can get on my panels and we can talk about the Democratic Party. Well, basically, if you want to know what's going on in this space, you have people like Angry Man. He's telling you. What I want to do is destroy a lot of the leftists. And shout out to Brother Tito, Hardcore Tito. He's doing his job. We need to destroy a lot of the lefties in this space. The problem with the lefties, and I know when somebody is a lefty because they double clutch. They get on a panel, they tell us we're all independents. No, they're libtards. Bottom line with the libtards is they don't know what's going on. And I still don't know why you men support the Libertard Party. Bottom line is they don't talk about men's issues. I mean, look at Gavin Newsome. He's talking tough. I mean, Gavin, you can talk tough all you want. Guess what? You talk about Trump, you're not president. This is Trump's second term as president. Yeah, you ran for California. You fucked it up in California. And you're lucky again to still be in power after nearly getting recalled. You got people like Karen Bass. You don't want crime to be solved. In fact, a number of you Democrats don't want crime to be solved. You want illegal immigration because when illegal immigration is gone, those are your constituents. Now, there were two individuals, and shout out to Barry Cunningham. Check out his channel. He had them on yesterday. They were on the news down there. I don't know if it was in Florida or not. Well, a lot of money from the drug game was confiscated. And there's a lot of powder, a lot of powder. And these weren't 8 balls, these weren't grams, these weren't even kilos. A lot of cocaine was discovered. About 2.6 million pounds of cocaine. Now, a kilo of cocaine is about 2.2 pounds. So you imagine how much cocaine was confiscated. And you know, that's the Democrats' money right there. And you have the Mexican president, she's getting paid under the table from the knuckleheads down there, the gangsters down there. And there was a senator down there. I'll tell you what, that senator, praying for her. As you snitch down there with those Mexican cartels down there. They're going to eradicate you. She needs to come here to America and get political asylum because she called out these cartels. She called out the president, who was a woman. So the cartels and the government are basically coalescing down there in Mexico. Mexico has a lot of problems. What are they trying to turn Mexico into another Venezuela? Hugo Chavez? Bottom line is this. The Democratic Party in this country has gone totally left. The Democratic Party, and I hope these red states basically cancel out all of these blue states, Pritzker, you, Massachusetts. You also had, again, California. So you gerrymandered yourselves basically out of power. And see, the red states are just trying to catch up. So basically, the bottom line is this. I'm just going to tell you. I want the Democrats out of power for the next decade. They don't provide anything but fake education because they really want poor people. They want dependency. They want redistribution of wealth. Bernie Sanders, he's been in power way too long. You have people like Nancy Pelosi, she's been in power way too long. But you have dummies who keep voting for them. And see, what the Democrats want is low information voters. See, unfortunately for Americans, when it comes to power in this country, you keep on depending on the government for your lifestyle. And what's going to happen is you're going to end up with nothing because the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh. But the bottom line with a number of you Democrats, you're delusional. You've created this world to where you want everybody to believe what you want to believe. But if we don't believe what you want us to believe, then that's when you start using the same old, you're racist, you're sexist, you're homophobe. Many of you are hypocrites. Many of you act as if you're better than we are. But the bottom line is you're not better than we. You're stupid. You have the mainstream media. And all the mainstream media has done is basically lied to the American people. Now, I was saw this comment on Yahoo too. And they basically stated that Fox and Newsmax were mad because they're calling out Newsome, trying to be like Trump. Well, there's nobody any more mad than the mainstream media. There's nobody any more mad. But you have a number of people who don't look at that. You know, the Democrats are delusional. They're childish. I mean, Gavin Newsom is immature. Now, if he had done something for California, I could see him as an effective leader, but he's not. And if he were that good a leader, why are people leaving his state? People are going to Idaho, Texas. It's funny because Californians tried to turn Texas blue. Not going to do that. I've seen a number of Californians here in Indiana. Well, let me give you Californians a lesson here about Indiana. You will not turn my state blue. You can move to Indianapolis. You can move to South Bend. You can move to Gary. That's it. These are the only blue areas in the state of Indiana. Even Fort Wayne is not blue. It's red. So you can bring that liberal shit out here if you want. You're not going to make it far. So the best thing for you Californians, you better go over to the next state like Nevada. You're not going to bring that into Utah either. Or go to Colorado. Now that's another dumb state. Go to Colorado. And now Arizona has become a swing state. It turned red last election. Bottom line is, we know where you liberals are going. And all the red states are going to do, talk about gerrymandering, they're going to do the same thing. The Democrats are mad because they've been doing it all along and they haven't been caught. But now the Democrats are getting some pushback from these Republicans, not the rubber-leg Republicans like Mitch McConnell and Susan Collins, these young Republicans. Because the Democrats, right now, the only two people I see in your party that could probably run for president and vice president would be, I believe his name is Dan Brashear of Kentucky and Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania. Those are the only two that I can see worthy. Now, I can't see Shapiro as president because, you know, Pennsylvania, you're surrounded by Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Allentown. There's a lot of blue there, but even though it went red last time, when I look at all of the registered voters, the Democrats are losing a lot of registered voters as well. Again, Newsom, yes, you are in the fourth largest economy in the world, but it costs so much to live there. Why would you want a communist state? You want to be like Mamdani in New York and that knucklehead who's running for mayor in Minnesota? Bottom line is, a lot of you Democrats out there, all you're preaching is hate Trump, hate Trump, hate Trump. Now, it's funny, you haven't heard The View on television. NPR, they're gone. MSNBC is now MS Now. Well, it's still going to have the same host on that show, MSNBC. And what you Democrats have done, you took off some iconic people from our food labels, Aunt Jemima. You took off the black man from Cream of Wheat, Uncle Ben's. Now you're taking away the iconic symbol away from basically Cracker Barrel. Bottom line is you could leave that on there and redo your logo because your logo needs some work. Now, I know what you're trying to do. You have this country singer trying to sing that commercial so you can attract people who are current customers. But basically, when it comes to marketing, I know you're trying to get in new customers, but that's not going to get new customers in there. Your food sucks. You got to get in good food. I worked in the restaurant business for years. If your menu is trash, people aren't going to eat there. I don't care how much nostalgia or non-nostalgia you have in your restaurants. But bottom line, getting into the political sector, it's all poll out there. And I don't trust any polls. Said Trump isn't doing so well. Well, who took that poll? And if you're going to deal with polls, again, Machismo TV, they get with the numbers. And Mark Halperin, and I watch the numbers by Mark Halperin, the polls, don't look at the polls. You got to look at who are they sampling. You have to look at what questions they're asking, and then how many people are being sampled. See, the bottom line is what the Democrats are doing to get themselves back in power. They're trying to talk the economy down. Now, I've looked at some gas prices across the country. I know down in Mississippi, they're now at $2.49. Now, here in Indianapolis, they're going up and down. I don't know why. Yeah, some areas I saw $2.85. Here in Indianapolis, they're bouncing back and forth between $2.90, $3.49. I don't know what the problem is. I need to do a little bit more research. However, we're not paying $4 and $5 an hour, $5 a gallon for gas. We are not paying $4 and $5 a gallon for gasoline like we did during the Biden administration. Eggs, you don't hear them talk about eggs anymore. See, the Democrats manufacture stories because they create a scenario in their head because they want doom and gloom. They want stupid people. They don't want individuals who have any type of common sense. The bottom line with the Democrats is they play the race card too much. They play the sexism card too much. Now, with this DEI, like affirmative action, I'm just going to tell you black men something. We have never benefited off of affirmative action or DEI, and we never will benefit off of DEI. Now, if you've been in the military, and I'm talking about the straight male now, because the new black male is a new black gay male. That's what they're putting up there to try to be the spokesman, not the spokeswoman for the black community. And a number of these men were raised by women. So they basically back women. They back that matriarchy. But you can't have a matriarchy unless you have somebody to enforce it. And that's masculinity to enforce it. But sweetness is always going to back up the women. Simpness until they're done with you, and then they're going to throw you right under the bus as well. This is how the whole system works in the United States. Bottom line is this. Many of us don't really know what's going on. And I'm looking at those Democrats every day. The Democrats need to understand that Trump is not running. Now, do you believe that Trump is going to have a big influence for the midterms? Absolutely. And he's going to have a big influence for the 2028 election as well. Now, you look at Obama. I saw Obama on television the other day. Did he really age? And he's 4 years older than I am. Looks pitiful. That's what that smoking does for you. But see, you have all these Democrats like Maxine Waters, James Clyburn. They're all relics. They're all looking back to 1960. We shall overcome. I want to tell you something, Democrats. Martin Luther King is not out there today. Jesse Jackson's in a wheelchair. He's got one foot in the grave and one foot out. Al Sharpton is not relative. No, he's not relevant anymore. What are you going to put out? Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Cory Booker? Those individuals will never see the light of president as long as I'm living. Now, Cory Booker may be able to go back to Newark and be mayor, but even when he was mayor, I was at the New Jersey Institute of Technology in grad school, and they had a lot of homicides in New Jersey. In fact, there were a couple of illegals. You don't hear this story, but I believe it was 15 years ago. They had two illegals in Newark, New Jersey. They shot 4 African American people, 2 men and 2 women. I believe one of the women lived, but the other 3, they died right there. Shot them execution style. You don't hear about that story, but it happened in Newark, New Jersey. Illegals. Your illegals are the ones bringing in the drugs. I bet you some of the government officials are buying the drugs from the illegals as well. And this is why the Democrats want illegals. So they want your cities to be flooded with chaos and crime. Because the Democrats aren't going to do anything. I mean, Trump just signed an executive order. No cash bails. That's out. No cash bails. Now he also wants to look at no mail-in votes. You see, because the mail-in votes, that was a big scam. That's what helped the Democrats in 2020. Now, even though that helped the Democrats in 2020, see, the Democrats, if they had played their hand right, they could have been in power now. See, what the Democrats should have done, they shouldn't have brought up this crap about Trump. Should have impeached him twice during his first presidency. They impeached him, but he wasn't removed. And that was only done by the House. The Senate can remove you. The House can impeach you, but they have to get up articles of impeachment. But the Democrats always drum up things. They use somebody to drum up some stuff. They tried to do that with Brett Kavanaugh when he was going for the Supreme Court. Back in high school, some woman said he got her drunk. How does she know? But again, we live in a society where you believe all women. That's a problem. And men need to really get on the horn about this and start thinking. Because when I hear equality, number of women, they want special privileges. They don't want equality because equality has too much responsibility in it. No, they want the benefits, like leadership. They want to be able to delegate. But in the end, they actually want to be the ones to get the special privileges. So in other words, they want feminism and traditionalism at the same time. That really doesn't work. But you look at the mainstream media. Who's on the mainstream media? You have a lot of women on mainstream media now. And what mainstream media does, they sit there, they're getting paid big money on both coasts. But the problem with the mainstream media, they don't know what's going on in the middle of the country. They don't care about the middle of the country. Why? Because the middle of the country does not have elitists. More of your working people are in the middle of the country. In fact, now you have a number of your unions, as Trump has come in, taking the Democratic talking points. See, if Gavin Newsome was smart, he could probably take some of the Republican talking points and run on those. But the problem is, you can take the Republican talking points, run on them. However, when you are in the leadership position, are you going to lie to the people? You're going to use the Republican methods to get elected, but once you're elected, you're going to go back to the socialism and communism you want? Because that's what a number of politicians on the left do. They make promises, and black people have been caught up with the Democratic Party for years. And black people still don't have anything but a hood in the city. There are no businesses. Got churches. And a lot of your pastors are also running the hoods too, because you got a lot of women who are just giving their money to these pastors. These pastors don't live in a hood. I mean, religion is the biggest failure in the culture today. Because most of the people who go to church in the black community, they're women, but they're not really Christians. They're Christian whores. That's all they are, Christian feminists. That's what they are. They want to throw that Bible out there with you and tell you, praise the Lord. Meanwhile, they're screwing everything in sight and getting screwed by everything in sight. It's true. Many of them don't follow that Bible. See, they only tell the simp that, oh, well, I can't do this because it's against my religion when they've already done it before. And I watch so many shows, it's just not black women. I watch a show called Below Deck about yachting, the life of yachting. And even the dumb white women on that show, they talk about giving themselves up. Many of them do. And they wonder why they can't have successful relationships. Because you keep letting everybody fuck you. That's why you don't have successful relationships. You don't know how to pair bond. And then you're going out there saying, well, men do it too. No, men aren't doing it like that. And then if you look at the STDs, particularly in the black community, who is it to blame in the black community? Can you blame some of the men? Yeah, you can. Because they went to jail, bent somebody over, and then brought it back to the women. But a number of you women are letting the guys hit it. That's the problem. You're getting pregnant by these guys. And you know these guys don't want to take care of their babies. But some of you women don't want the guy either. You want the money from the guy. But you know where that thinking comes from? Democrats. That's what Democrats want. And it's not all Democrats. I'm talking about the extreme left wing of the party. Now, I don't really see too many extremists on the right, because the right, you think about it. If you had a lot of extremists on the right, I know the right mentions the Proud Boys. You don't hear about the Proud Boys. See, the media will call out everything on the right. But when it's their people doing it, oh no, they keep everything silent. Now, we know in the cities, there's poverty. There's always been poverty. But who's running the cities? The cities are run by black progressives. I mean, look at Brandon Johnson. Look at Jackson in Baltimore and Wes Moore. I know Wes Moore, he said to Donald Trump, keep his name out your mouth. Well, I tell you what, you keep messing up in Baltimore, the National Guard will be on your ass. Now, of course, he's going to have to go through a different procedure in Baltimore than he did in Washington. Now, it's funny because you have a number of individuals who are protesting in Washington, but then when you actually get to the people who live in Washington, they like that they're safe. They can go out to eat. You don't have to worry about thugs carjacking you. You don't have to worry about thugs breaking into your house. You don't have to worry about thugs hitting you upside the head to get $20. And these are black people who said that. They can go out, sit on their porch without a drive-by. You see, what Trump did is federalize Washington because Mayor Bowser isn't doing her job in Washington. She's never done her job. But all these Keishas, they're going down. I mean, you got former Mayor Bottoms running for governor in Georgia. Georgians, you better defeat her. Now, the only woman that actually makes some sense on the governor's trail is Winsome Sears. She's going up against a white liberal Democrat. And the Republicans better support Winsome Sears. Yes, she's black. She was the lieutenant governor. She was Youngkin's lieutenant governor. I lived in Virginia. You want to keep Virginia Republican. You don't want it to turn Democrat. Now, it's funny. The Republicans have the state house and the state senate in Virginia. Now, the Republicans, if there's any gerrymandering that needs to go or any moving the map, need to try to move Virginia. Because I know when I was in there, Jim Gilmore. When I lived in Virginia, you had Jim Gilmore. You had George Allen Jr. That state was red. Now, unfortunately, with the state of Virginia, you can only run for governor one term. Now, you can run 2 terms, but they cannot be consecutive terms. Not like in Maryland, not like here. I mean, we got Governor Braun. I mean, he's a little shaky to me, but I voted for him to be a senator. He really didn't do that much. But then Mike Pence, who was the governor here, didn't do that much. He was Trump's vice president. Speaking of Mike Pence, where is Mike Pence? He's in hiding. Yeah, Mike Pence is in hiding. He's probably wishing that he was getting a piece of this action with this president. But he's in hiding. And see, he was a rhino. And I will say this about the Republicans. I'm not saying they're the greatest party that's ever lived. But right now, if you are a rhino, you're trying to go against Trump, you're going to be ousted. Look at Mitch McConnell. You don't hear Mitch McConnell anymore. Bottom line is the Republicans, they do their dirt, but they do have policies. The Republicans, though, they have to stand for something. I guarantee you, if there had been another Republican president here, like a George H. or George, the other George Bush, who was a lousy president, the Republicans would be the same old Republicans. They'd be letting Democrats control everything, even when they're in power. But see, the Democrats are having a problem, and this is the big thing. The Democrats are so used to getting away with everything because the Republicans never fought back. Now the Democrats are getting resistance. And so the Democrats, because they're not getting their way, what do the Democrats do? They resort to name calling, they resort to violence. Because if you think about it, not a lot of wars going on here. The Democrats love wars. There's money, the drug money. Some of them are probably getting money. You look what happened in Texas too. For the Democrats, and this is true, the Democrats who left for 18 days, they went to Chicago and probably to some other blue places. so there wouldn't be a vote on the redistricting. Huh. Well, I found out that a politician in the state of Texas makes only $7,200. Now, besides Pennsylvania, it looks like the politicians are they're part-timers. Now, Pennsylvania, they're full-timers. But because they were gone for 18 days, the Democrats were charged 500 for days delinquent. So you have 18 times 500, $9,000. So that exceeds the amount they get paid. Now, nobody's brought this up, but I did my own research on it, and it serves them right. If I had walked off of my job, I'd have been fired, point blank. But when you have the politics and the culture, the Democrats want to continue to be woke. That's their problem. See, this is why they didn't want Trump in office, because they knew the pendulum was going to swing back around a little bit. And it is swinging. Not as fast as what I would want it to swing, but it's swinging. And the Democrats are scared because they're scared that wokeness, and nobody cares if you are a part of the rainbow community. No. Only the Democrats care. Because the only way the Democrats believe that they can convince people to vote for them is by utilizing identity politics. They're calling everything racist. They're calling everything sexist. After a while, you know, when you play a record over and over and over and over and over again, it can get scratched or it gets worn out. So that racism, it's not working like it used to. What I'm hearing now is a bunch of crying by adults who are stuck in arrested development, who are delusional. They make up stories in their head and they think that's happening. The real world, this is the real world out here. And you notice the Democrats didn't care anything about that hurricane that happened in Appalachia. Government didn't help those people out. People are still going through the ugliness of that hurricane, death and destruction. And I'm talking about near Asheville, North Carolina. Those people got out there themselves and did the work. Biden was going to give them $750, to which they had to qualify for and then pay back. So Biden and Kamala Harris didn't care about people. And got Gavin Newsome out there thinking that he cares about people, talking about making America great, using Trump slogans. You know why it's not going to work for Gavin Newsome? Because he's never made America great. That's why people are leaving his state. Companies are leaving his state. Elon Musk used to be in his state. I believe he's in Texas now. A YouTuber I listen to named Will Johnson. He used to be in California. Where is he now? He's in Texas. He called it California. In Washington, D.C., another YouTuber, DJ Hemp. Listen to This Must Be Risky. He's not in D.C. anymore. He's in Texas. Got people moving out of these blue areas. Particularly, they're moving further and further south. But now the buck stops with DeSantis, because there was a judge down there, and I don't know where this federal judge is. He was trying to rule that the alligator Alcatraz is illegal, cut it off. No more migrants. So where are these activist judges? First of all, these judges are out here trying to be the judge, jury, and executioner. But this is why Trump is trying to fill everybody in the judicial branch with his judges. I mean, unfortunately, judges are not supposed to legislate. They're not legislatures. They are litigators. They're the ones who interpret the law. But you have so many activist judges who don't really know what's going on out here because a number of them are Biden holdovers. That's what happened during Trump's first term. You can trust people. But now he's got people that are right behind him. And I tell you, you go against him, you're going to be ousted. Even Elon Musk is starting to come around again. Elon Musk wanted a third party. Third party would destroy the Republican Party because you would split the vote. That's what Ross Perot did back in 1992. That's why basically Bill Clinton won. That's why you don't want a third party. Because if you had people like, what is his name, Ralph, he was part of the Green Party, the lefties would win. And the bottom line is, here in America, I don't want government ruling everything. And see, you have the Democrats who believe in the Norways and the Swedes because they have government healthcare. Well, if you all want that kind of living where you don't want to work, because here in the United States, if you're going to make it here, you absolutely have to compete. Capitalism is hard. Capitalism is not a process where everything is going to trickle down. Capitalism is about making money. Now, of course, here in America, it's not totally 100% capitalist, but it is capitalist enough to build businesses. Here in America, you have the opportunity to own something. That's what it is here in America. Most people don't understand ownership because, for the most part, if you look at the Democratic Party, most of them are employees. They go to work. Some of them have their government jobs. They sit on their ass all day at a cubicle and look at Facebook. They don't even know what real work is. And now, when they know their job is getting cut, now they're going to start bitching. Because, see, in the private sector, you actually have to manufacture something to make money. Because in the private sector, if the economy is bad and you have an economy-related business like construction, you're going to have to make decisions to keep that business afloat so it doesn't fail. And if you look at 2008, we went into a deep, deep recession, but guess who continued to make money? Government workers. Now, I don't have a problem with government workers. I'm a government worker myself. But see, now the government today, you're a worker today, it's a lot different than the government workers in the past. Because government workers in the past, they really had it made. They didn't have to pay for anything. But the problem with the government workers, if you look at who had most of the work, women did. That's why I say DEI didn't work. You know, a woman could have, she could be black, she could be part of the rainbow community, she could be disabled, she could be a veteran, and a woman. She fits 5 categories. She's going to get the job, if she's qualified or not. That's the problem with DEI. That's why I tell you, black men, you talk about DEI, you don't benefit from DEI. You've never benefited from DEI because you're at the bottom. You have to work. And you got people like Gavin Newsome trying to preach how tough he is in California. He's not tough. Again, Gavin Newsome, you're on a losing end. And trying to mimic Trump is not going to get you any vote. Yeah, you're going to get dummies who are going to vote for you. That's who you're going to get. In fact, Gavin Newsome, it was funny. During COVID, everybody had to stay in. But you went out to dinner. You were on tape, out to dinner. no mask on. So you think, Mr. Newsome, that you're going to get out there and you're going to run for president and not have any skeletons come out? You got a lot of skeletons in your closet. You got your nerve out there trying to mimic Trump when you haven't done anything for America. You hate America. You love gerrymandering. You want your communist in power. That's why they call it California. You want high taxes. Why? Because you are one of the elitists. You think you know more than everybody. You're a typical politician. See, one thing that you don't understand is Trump is authentic. You don't have to like him. Because again, you're on that, I don't like Trump either. Because you want to be Trump. That's why. You don't have the money that Trump does. You don't have the knowledge that Trump does. But I tell you what, you don't have to agree with him. He's getting more done than any other president in my lifetime. He's not letting Congress run over him. Now, I know some people might say Project 2025. No, it's not Project 2025. It's Agenda 47. Now, this Project 2025, that was a liberal talking point. That's to get people talking. You see, if you look at all these blue cities, they act as if they don't have to follow federal law. You remember something? The blue cities out there, you can't handle your jobs under the Insurrection Act, and you all are talking about the military. Let me tell you something about the National Guard. The National Guard is military, but the National Guard has a dual function. It can operate within the state and it can operate federally. That's what the National Guard does. The National Guard is not arresting anybody. They just have a presence. But you Democrats out there like Newsome, you don't want the National Guard out there in your state. Why? Because you want the chaos to continue. You want the homelessness to keep going. Because every day I hear Gavin Newsome coming up, oh, well, I want to take the homeless away. We shouldn't be out there defecating on the street, littering on the street. But again, a Democrat, they'll tell you that they're for the people. The Democrats aren't for the people. They're for staying in power. They want their communism and they want their socialism. That's what they want. They believe in chaos. This is why they're out there protesting. And the funny thing about it is, I see young and old liberal white women. And I'm going to give a shout out to some of the blacks out there. Some of you blacks, you do have some sense. You're not out there protesting. You're saying, fuck this, I don't want to protest, because you're not getting paid either. But you got many of these white liberals out here. That's why I said, black women, you lost when you took cues from these white feminists, like Gloria Steinem. You have people like Bell Hooks. You fell into that feminist mindset. This is why we don't have a community now. Or, you know, it's hard to say, or did the white woman get their feminism from Shirley Chisholm and the black women? See, I'm hearing that argument as well. Because, see, the white women, they grew up in families. They grew up where their men owned something. So that's another argument to make. But the bottom line is this. Gavin Newsom, you've done nothing for the state of California. California is a nice place to visit. I mean, I was in San Diego back in 1989. I was in the Navy. It's nice then, but it was a red state then. When George Bush was in office, the first George Bush, not George W. Bush, but George Herbert Walker Bush. But see, the problem is, culture wise, hit on the culture a little bit. Culture wise, here's what's really happening. You had the black people who had civil rights. And what other groups have done, they've actually piggybacked off of civil rights. And they're using black people. And black people, this is why I say, I don't know why so many of you allow everybody into your house, into your culture. Because now you got the feminists, they're talking about civil rights. You're talking about the rainbow community, civil rights. And to me, the rainbow community is behavior. Because if you think about the rainbow community, and I'm not going to use disrespectful names here, you're really talking about a bunch of minorities out here. A bunch of minorities who unified because of their behavior that I don't agree with. That's what it is. But a number of you benefit, especially when Obama was in office. Obama did nothing for black people, and everybody knows it. Brandon Johnson, he told the black people that he was going to give them like $4 to $6 million in grants. Meanwhile, the illegals, they got a hell of a lot more than that. But you black people believed him. Has he done it? No. But you look at your cities. And for you Democrats out there, like Gavin Newsome, who don't want your cities safe, so you could bring more people into your cities, like tourism, to bring more money into your cities, something's wrong with you. Something seriously wrong with you. But you believe that Trump can't do what he's doing. Trump has got advisors, and he's probably reading the law himself. See, a lot of you politicians out here think Trump is stupid. That's what it is, because you're politicians, because you're the stupid ones, because you've been lying, you've been corrupt all your lives. You don't know what it is to run a business. You don't know what it is to own anything. That's what it is. And see, to me, politics is a civic duty. It's not a career. This is why there needs to be term limits. And this is why individuals who live in this country, they need to stop living off the fat of the lamb and participate in some type of service. Whether you volunteer at your fire station, military, if everybody volunteered, put on some type of uniform or did some type of volunteer work, cleaning up the city, you would appreciate this country. Now, I'm not saying we don't need diversity in this country, but too often we keep thinking of diversity based on race. Diversity should not be based on race. Diversity should be based on ideas. But the Democratic Party, you don't have any ideas. Gavin Newsome, you don't have any ideas. All of you are running off the same playbook. I hate Trump. I hate Trump. Well, why do you hate Trump? Why do you hate him? I mean, you can't go by the first time he was elected, where the majority of the country didn't elect Trump. The Electoral College elected Trump. Again, I said it earlier in this video. The majority of the people voted for Trump. So that means the majority of the people are on Trump's side. They like what he's saying. Whether you think they're stupid or not, because the ones who were stupid are you all who are on the Democrats, because it's kind of funny, because if Trump does something, and even if you're a liberal, you're going to benefit from it as well. A number of you cut off the nose to spite the face. And Trump is tearing the media's ass up. Trump is out there with the people. Gavin Newsom isn't out there with the people. And And I talked to Little Big Nate about this. What the hell was Trump doing in South Carolina? It's a wrong state for him to go in. Be like him coming here to Indiana. Why would you come here? South Carolina is just as red as Indiana is. They're not going to vote for you in South Carolina, just like they're not going to vote for you here. Because nobody wants to hear what you got to say. Because, see, Mr. Newsome, Governor Newsome, you can talk all the shit about Trump you want, but you got a record yourself. And you got a long list of failures. And you've been exposed. So you can go out and talk all this crap about what you're going to do, what Trump is not going to do. You can talk all that. The bottom line is, he got YouTubers out there like Jericho Green. He calls you out all the time. Because Gavin Newsom, you don't know what you're doing. Karen Bass, you don't know what you're doing. Hell, when you can't get water from your reservoirs down into your system to help put out the fires, you just let everything burn down there. You let riots go out of control in your state and your city, and you think you're doing a good job. And then you want to blast the president for wanting to help you out. Why? Because it goes against your narrative. You want the illegals in your city. You want a destructive city. You don't want people in your city. But I got good news for you. You get some people with some money in there who'll vote you out, and they bring gentrification in there. Well, they're going to ship those people right back out to their countries. I mean, I see it here in Indiana. We got so many people out here, and is everybody really homeless? I believe, in my humble opinion, that's a scam. There are a number of young people. Young people. I saw this lady out there with a dog, a young lady. I'm homeless. You ain't homeless. You don't want to get your ass up and go to work. You ain't homeless. Now I saw a man on my way back because I'm with the pick up a prescription from CVS. Man had oxygen out there, and in one of those carts that you have in a grocery store. Oh, I'm homeless. You homeless? Oh, you scamming. And see, when you don't have people who don't want to work, no skills. See, this is what the Democrats bring you. They bring you people. The Democrats are really the party of the unproductive people, and they make excuses for people who are unproductive. You know, Joe Biden said you got to get some skin in the game. Well, unproductive people aren't putting skin in the game, and we don't want to deal with unproductive people. Unproductive people, they are a nuisance. I mean, when I worked downtown Indianapolis, I saw nothing but filth. I mean, it was at churches, it was in the park, you had all these tents out. People are begging. Somebody asked me, hey, $5 so I can get some alcohol. Alcohol? You broke and you want some alcohol? See, when you're out in the streets, you see this. See, a lot of you Democrats out there, so you're going to the good parts of the city. You're not out there where the action is. And you know what's funny? The Democrats talk all that shit. But what are you doing for the homeless people? Huh? What are you doing? Are you taking them in your house? Oh, hell no, you're not taking them to that nice gated community of yours. Hell no. Because they might steal something, right? The hell out of here. Hypocrites. But you want everybody else to take on that responsibility, but you don't want to do it. See, you, Gavin Newsom, you take on some of these illegals in your house. All I can hear you all talk about is they do all the work for you. So you already set an example. You don't want to do the work yourself, so you want somebody else to do it. That's the mindset that you are putting in some of these young kids, That's the mindset that you're putting in a number of the homeless out here. It's because you don't want to do it. That's the problem. Again, you Democrats, all you want to do is act like you're doing work. You're paper pushers. You go get a degree, and then you want to run the government because you're lazy. Many of you are not productive people. Just because you're a politician, most politicians are not productive people. They're good salespeople. That's all they are. They're lawyers for the most part. Heck, I call them dried up lawyers because once they've been in Congress for a long time, they forget how to litigate. They write bills, they put a bunch of pork in those bills so they can, it looks like they're doing something. Well, unless we bring something like the line item veto back, or if there is a line item, or if there's ever been a line item veto, or if there ever was, we need to bring it back. If there wasn't, we need to put a line item veto in place. Because again, basically the Democrats, they offer nothing. And all they're doing, the Gavin Newsomes, yeah, even had another Latina lady up there talking about how ICE is terrorists. ICE is terrorists. That woman needs a bullet right in the back of her head. Let me strike that from the record. I don't want to get this. That woman needs to be arrested. I mean, I don't want anybody hurt. But you're going to call individuals who are law enforcers to keep our community safe. You say they're terrorists. Maybe you're the terrorist because you're invoking it. That's why we have to be careful for some of those foreigners who come over here and we put them in our government. Because they're going to create havoc from within. And this is what you have to be careful for when you are voting for somebody. Just because they sound good, bottom line, it doesn't mean that they're good. We have too many people in this country who don't know what the hell is going on. They think they know what's going on. They get on CNN. They're paid a lot. Basically, everybody on the left, for the most part, they ignore what's really going on because they want doom and gloom, but they're paid liars. That's what they are. And I know here in this space, when it comes to the black women, oh, well, I hear you black men bashing black women all the time. No, what we're doing is we're pushing back on a propaganda that you put out on all these white shows like Sally Jesse Raphael, Jenny Jones, Ricky Lake, Montel Williams, Oprah. That's what we're doing. But the problems are you couldn't take it, so you've got a number of brothers' channels flagged for telling the truth. That's the issue right there. And we're going to continue to push back because we know what's going on. And this is from my generation, Gen X on down. Yeah, it spread into a little bit of the millennials, but basically, a number of you've gone out there, you said, well, you niggas in jail. Or 50% of you niggas in jail. Oh, well, how all of us in jail when it was only 13 to 15% of us, and maybe you cut that in half, so all 7.5% of us who were black men went to jail. No, the bottom line is a number of you sisters out there don't see black men worth a fuck. That's what it is. You don't care about black men. You really want that white boy, but he doesn't want you. He wants to get you down and spread them legs up there and tear that ass up. That's what he wants to do. But you blame everything on the black man. And some of you black men have allowed it because a lot of you came from mamas who ain't shit. That's the bottom line. And a lot of your daughters ain't shit. I don't care how much you protect them. They ain't shit because they're getting out here, bringing that propaganda out that a lot of your sisters, a lot of your family members, a lot of families ain't shit. particularly in the black family. That's the problem. And everybody knows it. But the problem is nobody wants to deal with it. And see, that's what's going on in a space like this. People don't like the truth. And that's that democratic thinking too. The Democrats don't want to deal with the truth. And because they don't want to deal with the truth, the Democrats sit up there and lie to make people feel good. So when somebody's ugly, they tell them they look good. Why are you lying? You're ugly. And ugly does not necessarily mean on the outside. Outside, it's your appearance. Inside is your attitude. That's the problem. But the Democrats tell you everything is all right. But as a man, we got to be held accountable no matter what. We're blamed for everything here in this world. But a lot of you men allowed it to happen too. A lot of it is our fault. Yes, it is. Many of us, we can control some things. And with black people, like I said, going in the workplace. And when we go into the workplace, we have to be extra careful. So we were told by our parents that if you go to college, you'll get a good job. Not knowing that if we go to college and get a good job, we're making someone else rich. Bottom line is, some of us didn't want to go to college. College doesn't make everybody smart. There are people who haven't gone to college. Look at J.P. Morgan. Look at those companies that started in the late 1800s. The Rockefellers. Did they go to college? Did Milton Hershey go to college? No, but his name is still around. Did J.P. Morgan go to college? No. Their names are still around though. Again, college, for the most part, it gives you an avenue, a door, but it's not the end all be all. You need experience. You need to know how to sell yourself. But college these days is nothing more than an indoctrination fest. That's all it is. Too many of us think that having a piece of paper. Do you know now it's much easier to get a degree than it used to be? It's much easier. But with Democrats out here, Democrats will tell you, we're smart with a degree. No, you're not. Because you're a party run by a lot of feminists, a lot of rainbow community, and you're a party run by a lot of beta males. And for the most part, you don't know what you're doing. You don't care about this country. You don't. You have no pride in this country. You hate this country. But we have free speech. But see, the Democrats want their speech. The Democrats want their speech, but they don't want real free speech. See, I don't have to agree with what you say, but you got free speech. You can be stupid if you want. I agree with that. But the Democrats want everybody to believe their point of view. That's their problem. And if we don't agree with their point of view, guess what? We're racist. We're sexist. No. Bottom line is, you just don't want to hear anyone's point of view but yours, because your points of view, people aren't going to take you seriously. That's the problem. To me, you Democrats watch all these TV shows. You know, if you look at a number of these TV shows, they're replacing all of the male characters. Look at The Equalizer. I remember the old Equalizer. Then they had the Denzel version Equalizer. And then he put Queen Latifah in there. I'm looking at these commercials now with the Army. They're putting women jumping out of airplanes. Most women ain't jumping out of airplanes. They're not going to do it. They're still trying to keep this woke, this bullshit culture intact. That's what they're trying to do, to make women feel good. They're lying to women. And you women can't do everything that a man can do just because some women do what some men do. And it's kind of funny with that. If a man does something that a woman does, like let's say a man knows how to knit, let's say a man knows how to be in human resources or be an administrative assistant, oh, then he's looked at as being feminine. If a woman does something like fix a car, something that a man does, she's looked at being a hero. See, the problem is we have double standards all over the place, and men are on the wrong side of them. Men are on some of the good parts, like, okay, when it comes to doing news or something. An old man could do news. Why they want a younger woman doing news? Yeah, a man can sleep with as many women as he wants, and a woman is called a whore. But you know what? It's not even good for a man to do that either. We know that. But the bottom line is, you have so many individuals out here who really believe in what they see on TV. That's the big problem. All TV does, I mean, I get tired of seeing two men kissing on TV, two women kissing on TV. This is what's on TV. But it's funny with the double standards. A woman could be a lesbian one day and be hetero the next day. If a man does that, no, he's continuously gay. Well, the bottom line is we're allowing the double standards in this culture to continue. That's the issue. Political correctness and lying and delusion. This is what we're going through here in America. So if you look at the politics, we have to get things to change in there. Now, but I don't believe there's going to be any real change in my lifetime. This is what the Democrats want. See, the Democrats always want something chaotic. That's their problem. That's their issue. Many of them, they come from a position of delusion and feeling. They don't look at anything. They get on TV and they want to hear themselves talk because they have an opinion. Everybody's opinion is not warranted. But the bottom line is, it makes them feel empowered by having an opinion because they believe that they're telling somebody off or they're teaching somebody something, when all they're doing is spout the same rhetoric that's been told to them. That's what it is on the left. Now, I'm not saying the right doesn't have it either, but the right isn't as bad because the right will get called out by the mainstream media. That's the problem. In fact, if the right does something, I'm talking about a double standard here, the right, you will hear the mainstream media not just all week, but all month talk about it. And they'll bring that back up, particularly during election season. See, that's why the right has to continuously walk on eggshells so it doesn't get caught out. But the left, no. The left, they'll do something all day. And what happens? They'll let it slide. But see, when you keep bringing it up, then the mainstream media is going to go silent. Now you look at this attorney general. You know, Fonnie Willis she's been pretty quiet because she knows the gig is up. Now this crazy woman in New York saying we coming to get you, Donald Trump. They've already exposed you, honey. You're going down. Oh, I want all these sisters who are in power, just like this one that just went down. She was in the Federal Reserve. She went down. Now, guess what? Again, haven't heard racism come out. That's one of you're not going to hear it. Or if you do hear it, people aren't going to listen. Because that's one of not George Bush's. Oh, I almost said Biden as well. It's one of Biden's people. Trump's got to do is get his own people in power. That's what we got to do. Got to keep the Democrats out of power. Because the Democrats, if they're not going to do anything else, they're going to try to sink this economy. They're going to try to sink this culture by deluding people. And this is why stupid people voting, that's a problem. That's a travesty. But this is why the Democrats, this is the only party that wants to save criminals until that criminal catches up with them. Then it's a different story. The bottom line is this. When it comes to getting out here in these streets, it's where all the action is. You have a number of people who are on TV They don't know what's going on from both coasts because they don't care about what's going on. And people like Gavin Newsome, he swears that he's tough. He's weak. He talks a bunch of crap, and it's going to catch up to him if it hasn't already caught up to him. Because everybody in California, Mr. Newsome, they don't like you. They don't like Karen Bass. You're a problem. And you want to run a country and you're trying to mimic Trump. We all know that it's funny. And then you got stupid people out here. Oh, well, it's about time Newsom stood up to Trump. And Yahoo and not Yahoo, but Fox and Newsmax. There's no more people who are more angry out here than the mainstream media when Trump got elected. So you all sit down and shut up. You got you individuals, you liberals out there, because you're the ones crying, you're the ones protesting. Yeah, you're getting paid for it. You don't even know what the hell you're protesting for. But the bottom line is, a number of you hate this country, but everything that you say Trump is doing, you've been doing. And you don't want it coming back at you. But what's happening? It's coming back at you. And in the end, the chickens have come home to roost. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 401 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you are looking for some STEM content, you check out my other channel, the QCIS channel. And on that channel, I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and of course, math. Now, here's where you can find me. The 401 Talk Zone radio show channel. You can find me right here on YouTube. You can find me on X, formerly Twitter, Truth Social, and Rumble. And for the QCIS channel, you can find me on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, and of course, LinkedIn. And just so you'll know, I'm not here to offend anybody. But for you jealous people out there, and for you people who are offended, and for you people who aren't jealous, and for you people who aren't offended, you need to understand this. Always be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, then change it. And once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.